Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about how I was on Dr. Phil. I'm going to be talking about my experience, some things that I wish I could have said while I was there, along with there was one thing that was said that I didn't agree with. So I'm just going to go over all of that. I just wanted to say thank you so much to Dr. Phil and everyone at the studio, everyone who worked really hard and got me there, because as we're gonna get into it in a minute, it was, there was a lot that went on before we got there. Nothing that had to do with Dr. Phil or the studio or anything like that. It's completely separate. I just wanted to say thank you to Stacy for becoming a channel member. In addition, thank you so much to all of you guys who watch my videos, who also share them and like them and also comment. So I just wanted to say thank you again to Stacy for becoming a channel member. I am going to leave timestamps below so that you guys can kind of hop around, and if you don't want to hear about certain things, then you could just go ahead and go off to the next section. That's totally fine. And I won't be reacting to my video or my portion of the show. I know that my friend Savvy from Savvy Writes Books is going to be reacting to the episode, so I will leave Savvy's channel link below. I will also leave the episode link below, the full episode, if you'd like to go ahead and watch that, because as of filming this, which is, what's today? December 2nd. Today is December 2nd. So at the time of filming this, I've only seen that the Dr. Phil channel has clips of it. With all of that said, let's just hop right into, I'm going to talk about the experience first. This happened all very, very, very quickly. And at first, I'm not going to lie, at first, the email that I got, I thought it was a scam. I didn't think it was real because I don't know. I guess just from creating anti-scam content and anti-MLM content for the past, what is it now, 3 years? I think it's been 3 years. Ever since then, I've become a little more aware of certain things, and a lot of the times, I think something might possibly be a scam. So I thought it was a scam at first. But then I asked my husband about it, and I was like, hey, the email, it doesn't look like a scammy email. It looks like a legitimate email from the studio. So we looked into the person who actually sent me the email, just in case, found out that yes, this person does work for the studio, and then I responded and I said, sure, so what do you need from me in order to kind of get the ball rolling? Well, the ball was rolling very fast because we went through everything. We did the interviews. I sent in the video that you'll see of me in my bedroom that is on the Dr. Phil show. I had to make that video. Everything had to be done by a specific time and by a specific day. So then it came time to actually get to LA. That was just a complete mess. Like I said in the beginning of this video, it had nothing to do with Dr. Phil or the studio or anything like that. It was all the airlines. If you guys were following me on my Instagram, I did post a couple of Insta stories when all of this was going down. I didn't really say why we were flying, but I did say, yes, we are flying to LA. And there were so many delays. We were supposed to fly out. I forget the exact time that we were supposed to fly out, but I know it was like mid to late morning, if I remember correctly. Well, it was raining, and they stated that due to the weather, it wasn't even raining a lot. If you guys saw on my Insta stories, it wasn't even raining a lot. It was like a light drizzle, but they said that due to the weather, that everything was delayed. So I called the studio, and they were so helpful. I don't know if I'm allowed to say their names, so I'm just going to kind of keep that to myself, but you know who you are if you ever come across this video, and thank you so much, because I can't imagine how stressful that was for literally everybody behind the scenes. They had to figure out and change the flights. It was a mess. But after a really, really long time of getting there, I think it was a total of, to get from Florida to LA, even with, we had a layover, but it was a really quick layover. It wasn't anything intense or anything like that. It was enough time for us to go to the bathroom, get something to eat really quick, feed my daughter, and then we were on the plane to LA. But all together, I think we were traveling for about 13-ish hours. We finally got to LA and we were picked up by one of their drivers. Really, really, really nice. Everyone was so nice. So I just want to say, seriously, everyone was so nice and so helpful. We got to the hotel just in time to be able to order room service because we didn't have enough time to stop and get anything to eat. So it was just in time to get room service and get some kind of food in our system. And then we pretty much all just kind of passed out because it was so late and I knew that I had to get up early, which is why if I noticed it, but I don't know if anyone else is going to notice it. When I watched the full episode, my eyes look kind of puffy and it's because I was exhausted. So now you're probably going to notice it, but that's why if I look different than what I normally do, it's because I was so tired. And it's funny because when we got there, they did hair and makeup, wardrobe, all that kind of stuff. And I forgot to tell them when we were doing all the interviews that I broke my toe several weeks before that and it was still healing. So they were like, oh my gosh, like let's try different types of shoes and stuff like that. So we chose a pair of shoes and it was fine because I was sitting most of the time anyway, so it didn't really matter. It only hurt going down to where the stage is and everything. But other than that, it was pretty okay. Let me just rewind a little bit because this was so cool for me. If you guys remember, I did an entire series diving into NXIVM. While I was diving into NXIVM, I came across Rick Allen Ross, who, if you guys don't know, is a cult expert. So that's when I first found out about him and I started looking into him and I thought he was just so interesting. Then I found out when I was waiting to go inside, I saw Rick Ross. And I'm not gonna lie, I fangirled a little bit, but I was trying so hard not to be super awkward. So I went up to him really quietly and I just kind of talked to him for a second. I probably seemed so awkward and the conversation was so short because I didn't want to bother him or anything like that. And I didn't want him to think that I was some kind of weirdo. So it was a very, very, very brief conversation that I had with him, but it was so cool. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little starstruck. I was like, oh my gosh, he's gonna be on the show. This is so cool. So then after hair, makeup, all of that, when it was time for us to go ahead and film, I was so nervous, but one of our drivers actually told me that Dr. Phil has this like a calming presence as soon as you meet him. So even though you're nervous now, you won't be as nervous when you meet him. I'm going to say thank you to that driver. I don't know what his name was or anything like that, but thank you to that driver because he was 100% correct with my situation. I don't know about anybody else. As soon as I got on that stage, Dr. Phil actually fist bumped me before I sat down. But when I got on stage, and it was super, super calming, just like the driver said. And I felt a little bit more at ease. And in my head, I was thinking, you know what? I've told my story so many times that I'm going to be fine because this is my story. This is my testimonial. And like I said, I've said it so many times on my channel. It was a little weird for me to see myself up on the screen before because they had used some of my old posts. I sent them some old posts from my MLM days. Oh my gosh, the cringe. Anyway, I'm on stage. We're talking about all things MLM and cult-like tactics, cult-related type of things. I will quickly say that if you guys haven't seen the episode already, I highly, highly recommend watching it all the way through, not just watching my segment or not just watching my segment alone. Let me rephrase that. I would love for you guys to see my segment, but please make sure to watch Sarah, who was the guest before me. She was in a cult, and then Natalia, who has written a book and everything, and she talked about cult-like tactics in a spin class. So I highly recommend, she went after me. So I highly recommend just watching the entire episode all the way through because those are two incredibly amazing women, and just I am hoping to get both of them on my channel eventually in the future. If anyone has come here and has already seen the episode and this is your first time on my channel, the MLM companies that I was a part of was Mary Kay and Beachbody, or now they're called Body because they did some kind of a rebranding. It's spelled BODI. Yeah, but anyway, those were the two MLMs that I was a part of. A lot of you have reached out to me and said that you wish that my segment was a little longer and that it was the shortest of all three of our segments, which is why I kind of want to make this video to kind of talk about it a little bit. I'm not upset about that or anything. I'm sure that they had to edit out a bunch of stuff in order to kind of fit it all into one episode, which is totally fine. I'm not upset about it. They didn't edit anything out that would make anything that I said be taken out of context. So I will say that it's not like it was edited to look a certain type of way. So I just want to get that out of the way because I don't want anyone saying, oh, did they edit stuff out to make it seem... No, they didn't do anything like that. It was just to kind of take out, I'm assuming just to kind of save time. There was one part where Rick Ross was talking about the faking it till you make it and talking about designer shoes and stuff like that. The reason why is because of something that I said prior to that. And what I said prior to that, and this is important because I don't think I've ever talked about this on my channel before. It's something that I remembered when I was going through the interview process with everyone prior to being on the show. Well, maybe I have talked about this. I don't remember 100%, but it's something that I ended up remembering and I was like, oh, I don't think I've ever talked about this before. So what I was mentioning was the convention that I was talking about was for Mary Kay. So just to kind of give you guys, I guess you can say like, just to give you guys context as to what I was referring to. In that, at that convention, it was in Atlantic City in New Jersey. For those of you who don't know, I am originally from New Jersey, but my husband and I moved to Florida just a few years ago to open up a business, and we've been here ever since. But at this convention is when I first saw the amount of red jackets, which in Mary Kay is, I don't know if they still do it, but at the time that I was in, it was for certain ranks, like the higher ranks, you would wear a red jacket. And I wish that they would have talked about that because I feel like that really showed that there is this, I wouldn't say necessarily like an idolization of people, but it kind of puts these bigger leaders up on a pedestal because you see the red jacket and you know immediately that they're a higher ranking person. Well, I was in line to go to the bathroom and there were some women in front of me. One of them was wearing a red jacket and she had Christian Louboutin shoes, those beautiful red bottom shoes. It's actually on my bucket list to have a pair of those eventually in the future. I just can't justify spending that kind of money, at least not yet. It would be something that I would save up for. It would be a total splurge because I have absolutely no place to wear shoes like that. And they would probably just sit in my closet as like my prized possession on like a little stand or something. But she had these shoes on and I noticed them and I said, oh my gosh, I love your shoes. Those are beautiful. Well, when she turned around, she said, oh, this was all thanks to Mary Kay. I really wish that they would have kept that in the segment just because I feel like it's important to show that, yes, they do talk about things like this was all possible because of this MLM. Insert MLM name here because we've seen it so many times. We see these MLM reps talk about the free cars, which they're not free. You have to take them out in your name, so it goes against your credit. You have to, if you lose rank, then you are responsible for that car payment. I know that for certain MLMs that I've already dove into, I don't know for every single one because I haven't looked into every single car program, but for the ones that I've dove into, there is like a specific grace period. But if you can't hit that rank within that grace period, yeah, you're responsible for that car. What happens if the MLM company shuts down? Because we've seen that time and time again where MLM companies have either shut down or they've been deemed a pyramid scheme and they have to either shut down or restructure. What happens if something like that were to occur? You're now held responsible for this car payment. And most of the time, these MLMs, the cars that they have are luxury cars. Luxury cars are not, it's expensive. Those payments are going to be expensive. The one thing that I found so hilarious, and I'm so happy that they didn't have the camera on me when Dr. Phil said this, because I was trying so hard to keep in my laughter. I almost busted out laughing at this one part, but there was a man in the audience that asked Dr. Phil, who's the target demographic for these MLM companies?
How many people here have been approached by a multi-level pitch by somebody?
Wow.
Yeah, so that's, wow. That's like 75% of the audience. You had a comment? Let's get you a microphone.
My question is, what would you say the target demographic is of these MLMs, and what can we do to help these people avoid falling into these traps?
Well, you got a pulse.
Yeah.
Seriously, if you've got a pulse, they'll take your money.
I thought that was so funny. It really took a lot for me to not laugh at that part, because he's right. And I know that Rick Ross ended up talking about the target demographic from his point of view. But I will say that I think that Dr. Phil was right, because I've said this so many times on my channel that that they will literally recruit anybody or pitch anybody that has a pulse. Not every single MLM rep, so let me not generalize here. Not every single MLM rep will do that. But a lot of the videos that I've reacted to, a lot of people that I have seen, we've seen it time and time again, where these MLM reps have said in their lives or their pitches, their Zoom calls, whatever, that if you're in the line at Starbucks or if you're in the line at the grocery store, if you see somebody, comment on something and then try to pitch them, which is so annoying, because in my opinion, I think that at one point, you need a break. You shouldn't be recruiting people that are just trying to shop at the grocery store. I will say, we have our own legitimate business. I would never think about going up to someone and trying to get them to come to our business while they're grocery shopping or while they're in the line at Starbucks. There was one point where Dr. Phil talked about get-rich-quick schemes and how if there were get-rich-quick schemes, everyone would be doing it. I think that the problem with the MLM industry when it comes to stuff like that is a lot more of them are starting to say it's not a get-rich-quick scheme. But the way that they pitch the opportunity, the way that they pitch being able to sell the products and being able to recruit people, I would say that, in my opinion, it's false advertising the way that they do it, because they talk about where they were. It's always a sob story. It's always a rags to riches story. How many times have we seen someone say that I was actually out there looking for an MLM company, actively looking for one, and I was looking for an upline to be able to sign up under to recruit people and to sell the products? How many times have we seen someone say that? I haven't seen anyone say that. I'm not saying that hasn't happened, because there's a possibility that it's happened, but I've never seen anybody say that. I've never seen it pitched any other way. When I was in Mary Kay, the way that my upline was doing it was she was fishing for information the entire time, and she was really good at it, because it wasn't the way that she was doing it was just within the conversation. She was a really good, I will say, she was a great salesperson. So if she had a regular sales job, she would be absolutely amazing. If she had her own business, she would be so good at it. She really would. For anyone who's curious as to how I even ended up with the upline, long story short, she was giving out free facials. I fell into the trap. We met up at a local Dunkin' Donuts. She whipped out a bowl and a bottle of water from her little bag that she had me take off all of my makeup in the middle of Dunkin' Donuts, had me try skincare. And then she had me try some of the makeup, and this entire time she was fishing for all of the information. That's how that happened. She tried, I talked about it in the episode, but when the rep, I told her that I didn't have the financial means to do it. She did say that Mary Kay has a credit card that's 0% interest free for however many months, and if you're approved for it, we should totally do it. Somehow she got me to purchase the larger starter pack, which at the time was over $1,000. And it made you start off at, I think it was Sapphire. Yeah, it made you start off at the Sapphire rank with that big starter pack. When it comes to Beachbody, that was a little different because I was in a really terrible spot with my health at the time. I physically didn't feel good and mentally didn't feel good. I had seen that one of my Facebook friends went ahead and she posted something about how she only has X amount of spots available, which we all know that that is complete BS when they say that. But she had said that, or at least from my own experience, it's BS when MLM reps say that. However, she posted her before and after pictures, so I figured I would give this a shot. This is my last resort because I don't know what else to do. I did very well with the Beachbody programs. With the 21-day fix is the one that I actually started off with. I did really great. Don't get me wrong. But it made me very, very obsessed with my eating habits. I started working out a lot because I did stuff on top of the 21-day fix workouts as well. I will say that the workouts were great because they were really short. I love the workouts. However, it's tied to an MLM and there are plenty of good workouts out there on YouTube for free. But then when I had joined as a customer, I started seeing the upline talk about, or who would become my future upline, talking about the opportunity. And I had actually talked to her about it and I said, well, I want to be able to help other people who were maybe feeling the same way that I was many months back. I genuinely thought I was going to be helping people. So I will say that that's why I approach certain reps on my channel a certain way, because I do wholeheartedly believe that there are people within the MLM industry who do think that they're doing good, who do think that they're helping people. They may not know how people are losing money or maybe not even breaking even. So I will say that I genuinely think that there are some people who think they're doing something good. This next portion is going to be about something that I didn't agree with that was said on the show. And that was when Dr. Phil said it, and he said, I'm sure that, Rick could agree with me, was when he said that he doesn't believe that MLMs are cults. Before I get into why I don't agree with that statement, there was something that Dr. Phil said at the end of it that I will applaud him for, and he said that victims are not weak, and that there are a lot of victims who are highly intelligent. So when people try to say that, oh, how could anybody join a cult? I don't like when people, it's one thing to ask that question, but it depends on the way that you're asking it. I just don't like it when people come across as like, oh, well, how could anyone join a cult? They must be dumb or they must be stupid. The thing is that some people don't understand is that these people are manipulated into it. They're manipulated into joining this cult, or in my case, what I talk about on my channel, multi-level marketing companies, which is what is going to segue me into the thing that I don't agree with, and that's saying that MLMs aren't cults. I know that they had Rick Ross on there, and I know that he is considered a cult expert. I know. And I'm not trying to put him down. I'm not trying to say that he's not an expert. That's not what I'm saying at all, because I do think that he has done great work. I feel like if you take a little bit more time to really truly research MLMs and to really truly see what goes on behind the scenes, then you might understand why a lot of people refer to MLMs as commercial cults. One person that a lot of us speak about in the anti-MLM movement is Dr. Stephen Hassan. He has written many books. He is considered a cult expert. He was in a cult and is now speaking out and helping people. There is something called the BITE model that is on Stephen Hassan's website. If I remember, I'll leave it linked below. But BITE stands for Behavior, Information, Thought, and Emotional Control. If you look through some of that, depending on what your experience was in MLMs, some people have had pretty okay experiences. It wasn't anything just mind-blowing. It was, I just joined, I didn't like it, so I got out of it. Whereas other people who have told me their stories, it's a little different. If you compare the bite model to some of the experiences from MLMs, there's a lot that kind of connects there. There's one story that someone had shared with me many years ago. This was towards I want to say the beginning of when I started creating anti-MLM content on my channel, which was back in September of 2019. When I started making anti-MLM content, I also created a Facebook group for anyone who wanted to kind of further the discussion. There was someone who found me, they messaged me, and they told me their story. I'm not going to tell their entire story, but just to kind of give you a gist, they were in Amway for many, many years. And after they left, they actually had to go see a therapist for deprogramming, the way that you would go to deprogram from a cult, because that was her experience. Her experience was that of a cult. There are so many testimonials out there that will talk about this kind of stuff. Bottom line, I didn't agree with that comment. I feel as though if you're just looking at MLM companies and the cult-like tactics at just the surface level, then yeah, you're not going to see that it's more than just using cult-like tactics. For some of these MLMs, they use the same thing that cults would use. There's a leader, and a lot of people idolize this leader. Then they even sometimes mix in religion with it. We see that very, very often. We see a lot of MLM reps use faith or spirituality, and they use that in their pitch, that God called me to do this. There's much more to it. Like I said, I'm not trying to diminish Rick's credentials. I'm not trying to badmouth Rick or Dr. Phil, but I'm just saying that I just don't agree with that statement. That's something that I just don't agree with. With all of that said, I wanted to say thank you so much to everyone over at the Dr. Phil studio and Dr. Phil himself for having me on the show. It was a really great experience. It really, truly was. A lot of people have reached out to me and said that Dr. Phil is really problematic, but I think it was really important to go ahead and go on the show and talk about this, because there needs to be more awareness brought to the MLM industry, because a lot of the people who maybe watch Dr. Phil, they don't know about how terrible MLMs are. They might have never heard of the anti-MLM movement. They have maybe never come across content or just articles or researched it. So I think that it's great because it'll reach a much wider audience. There are all different types of people who watch Dr. Phil, and I think that I think that it was really important to get the word out. Along with that, I wanted to say a huge thank you to all of you who have shown me so much love and support and tagged me in so many different things since the episode aired. I was so nervous for this episode to air. At first, I wasn't sure if I was even going to share that I was on the Dr. Phil show, but after talking to my husband, he was like, no, that's a really cool experience. You should talk about it. And I kept thinking in my head, well, what if I look stupid? What if I did a terrible job and I look like a bad representation of the anti-MLM movement? And he said, well, you know your story. You've told your story many times. If you told your story on Dr. Phil, you're going to be fine. You're not going to look like an idiot. So I decided that I would share about it. And then when I saw the final episode, I'm not gonna lie, it was so weird watching myself. And because it's so weird. I can watch myself and edit my YouTube videos. It's still weird to me to see myself and to hear myself talk over and over and over again. But to see myself on an actual show that I didn't edit, I didn't do anything with it, I was just on the show, it's really weird. So I just wanted to say thank you so much to all of you who have just shown me so much love. I'm going to pop up an Insta story that I did share the other day after just the outpouring of all of you contacting me and tagging me and everything, because that's a great list of people who, those are their Instagram handles, but if I remember, I'll try to leave all of their information in the description box below, or I'll put it in a pinned comment or something. But those are the people who have either were the reason why I made my first video, were some of my biggest supporters, or are some of my biggest supporters. Some who have become friends outside of just YouTube and this type of content and this type of activism, that they have actually become friends of mine. So I kind of split it up into groups and all that. But thank you to, and I know that it says it right in the screenshot, but the biggest thank you goes to all of you who have been watching me, who have subscribed, who like my videos, who comment on my videos, share my videos, because it not only helps my channel grow, but without you guys, the word wouldn't be spread more, and my voice wouldn't be as, I know I have a very small channel. I know that. So I'm not trying to talk like I have a big channel or anything. I know that I have a very small channel. I have a little bit over 10,000 subscribers at the time of filming this, but those of you who are here, who support me, I just want to say thank you. Without you guys, I wouldn't have the platform that I have. Even though it's not a big one, it's a small one, but yeah, without you, I wouldn't be here. So I just wanted to say thank you to all of you who have been here for the past couple of years that I've been making this type of content, that I've been trying to talk about this, who have given me, whether it be constructive criticism or if you've given me positive comments, because those are the comments that have really helped me become who I am with my activism today. And also another thank you, because if it wasn't for the amount of support as opposed to the hate that I get and the negative comments that I've gotten, there's a difference between constructive criticism and negative comments. So let me just make that 100% clear. But if it wasn't for you guys, the hate that I get, it's just like background noise. It's just, most of it's entertaining to me. It's not a big deal. There are some comments that go a little too far, but they don't bother me because it's whatever. It's not a big deal. Hey guys, Editing Monica here. At this point in the video, I also wanted to say thank you so much to all of the content creators and activists within the anti-MLM movement who have talked about, whether it be their experiences or who call out these companies and the tactics that are used, because our voice and the movement is getting even bigger. And with the amount of hate comments and things of that nature, I know that it's sometimes kind of hard. So yeah, I just wanted to say thank you to all of you who speak out on this topic, because it helps victims of these MLMs and it gives them a voice if they're not ready or maybe won't ever be ready to share their story. So it kind of gives them validation. So I just wanted to say thank you to all of you as well. Now that I have been talking for so long, I hope that I got all of my thoughts out there. I don't know if I did. Maybe I didn't. We'll find out when I go to edit this. There might be editing Monica modes in this entire thing. So yeah, thank you for watching my video. Thank you for watching the episode. If you haven't already, make sure you do. I'll link it below. I guess with all of that said, I will see you guys next time. This is Monica reporting to you live from a highway. Bye!